Howdy guys, just doing my very first project video here. Hopefully you find it useful or entertaining, or nonetheless just something to pass the time. So what I intended to do here was build a bookcase for my kids' books, which are really thin, and so it's gonna end up being like a trough style bookcase where they all just kind of slid in facing the front. So I used this polyurethane can and I traced out the shape I wanted, and then I cut it out with a jigsaw. It was pretty simple and basic, but each of these sides are going to be the opposing ends. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just measuring out the length of the bottom of the bookcase and marking it off and eventually cutting it. I had to take into consideration the width of the two sideboards, so I subtracted that from my overall length of this board, which gave me the total length. So I'm just setting up my table saw right now so I can cut down the board so I can rip it down to the total depth that I want for the bookcase. I didn't want to make it too deep because I don't want to have too much weight hanging off the wall. However, I did not end up hanging it from the wall. It ended up being a sort of a benchtop bookcase that I put on a dresser. So once I got it set up, I was then able to rip it down. So the next thing I did was I took my side pieces and I was going to cut out a rabbet on the back end so I could put the back piece in. So this was my first cut, and my first cut was going to be the deepest cut of the rabbet. So I could just work the fence out from there, and work the fence in from there, and then eventually fit my back piece in so you wouldn't see the end grain of the plywood backing that I was going to use. Okay, so as you can see here, if you look closely there, I got most of it out. I'm going to clean that up with the chisel now. So I started working on it with just some chisels, cleaning up the edges, making sure everything was square and ready to receive the back panel, which was pretty easy. So here I began the glue up of the sides on the bottom there. Very easy glue up, just applied the glue and clamped it down. Easy clamp job here as well. So I used pocket holes for this assembly. Once I got everything glued and clamped together, I was then able to turn it over on its side and begin just screwing in some Craig screws and getting everything tightened down. Here I was just getting my chop saw set up for cutting the length of the strapping pieces that would go across the front of the bookcase. I just used a piece of 2x4 that I had laying around, and then in the upcoming clips I was able to cut off each strapping piece down on the table saw. And here I am feeding the 2x4 through the table saw, just cutting off the straps there for the bookcase. So I bet you're wondering why there's a blank screen. Well, essentially this is where my video content ended, so I'm going to continue with some photos. So these are photos that you haven't seen yet. This is with the strappings on the front and the back piece in. So you can see I put the 3 straps right across the front. I adhered the top with some finishing nails. I made a little piece of trim to cover up all the end grain. And this is a photo of my obscure clamp job. So this is the end result. I spray lacquered it for a finish. It turned out pretty well. It holds just about all of my kids' books and it sits on top of their dresser. They have easy access to it and it certainly organizes things. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment. Otherwise, thanks for watching.